for the 500th time, अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. This is the 500th episode of NL Hafta, our flagship podcast. We are thrilled to be here, and for that reason, we have got a very special panel who I shall first introduce, and then I shall tell you the announcements, etc. So,
but Angrez Apna Lagan is not for the 500th time.
That's true.
As our subscriber told us that it came much later in the podcast.
in fact,
I think in the 9th.
This Takiya Kalam of yours or whatever. Takiya Kalam hi bolenge na?
Takiya Kalam, yes. In fact, Noman, I hope I've pronounced his name correctly. Noman Khan said it was started in Hafta 92. Is when we started.
So much later.
Much later. So this Angrez Apna Lagan News Radio Hafta. So on the panel today, to celebrate our 500th episode of Hafta, and we haven't missed a single week since we started. In the studio, we have our team members, Anand, Vardhan.
Hello.
Who is just a few weeks, months away from becoming he'll pick whether he wants to be a judge or Solicitor General or Attorney General. We are deciding. We've set
Solicitor General only if he talks the government language.
That Anand will figure it out. Then we have our editor-in-chief, Raman Kirpal.
Hello.
And Manisha Pande.
Hello.
And joining our guests today, special guests on 500th episode of Hafta, is Akash, Banerjee.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me on this special episode.
Yes, and because we are going to be discussing meta things today, which is why we thought we'll get meta people. So, and your other avatar is?
Bhakt Banerjee.
Bhakt Banerjee.
So we can discuss meta and the meta announcements that the government is making as far as broadcast.
In UP, yes.
Now after the national broadcast bill, now you have the localized broadcast bill. As we said that it's not going to die down so soon. Yeah.
Yes, we shall discuss that. And joining us from Kochi is Dhanya Rajendran, co-founder and editor-in-chief of the News Minute. Hi.
Hello and congratulations on the 500th episode of Hafta.
Yes, and on this 500th episode of Hafta, this is going to be free. It's not behind a paywall.
Yay.
This is going to be also available on the News Minute website. It'll be there. And we are taking the 500th episode of Hafta to commit that Dhanya's podcast is going to be starting in September. The date we'll figure, but definitely September
2024.
And so far, I think we have kind of...
2024.
September. It can't be. हमने तो साल तो बोला ही नहीं था. And there will be the names we've kind of zeroed in on. One is Simply South, and the other is
Simply South.
Simply South we cannot do. India Today's show is called Simply South.
Oh, they already have a show called Simply. So, and there was one more option that was put there, but anyway, we'll figure out the name.
May I suggest one?
Yes.
The South Minute.
The South Minute. That's
See,
nice.
the minute itself I chose as a mistake, I feel, because of a like a hangover of an hour. News hour, news minute.
So what we can call it is...
like Arnab.
But
hangover.
with all the content going towards a minute, when people write to us after we've invested 3 days in an episode and they say, बहुत लंबा episode हो गया, then I tell them, हाँ भैया अगली बार एक TikTok video बना दूंगा. So a minute is a
we can call it the News Minute Hour.
South.
Get it? News Minute Hour second.
कुछ भी.
So that is one announcement, that we will be starting that podcast where we will discuss that. The second is we have a new Sena project up. The election of Haryana and Jammu and Kashmir, because one nation, one election is all okay, but 4 states can't happen together. So Maharashtra and Jharkhand will happen later. And we are doing Haryana and J&K. So we will have, I know Manisha will be traveling, Atul will be traveling, Basant.
And Anmol
and Srinivasan Jain. He'll be doing Jammu and Kashmir. So please contribute. All election coverage is powered by you. So you can scan this QR code that is there, contribute, or click on the link in the show notes, or just go to newslaundry.com, click on that Sena project. We want to make sure that, financial constraints should not get in the way of robust reporting, especially before an election, because it is only on the back of journalism that citizenry remains informed, and that is how they vote. So please contribute. Here's the QR code and there's the link. And finally, the 500th episode announcement. If you like Hafta and you have been watching it and listening to it for so long, there is a link to a form in the show notes. You can click on the link to the form. Listeners can add the email of their friend who they would like to share the Hafta with. We will send a personalized email to the friend telling them how about the show, its USP, and a link to the episode. And if you can get a friend or two to subscribe, you can mail us at podcasts@newslaundry.com. I repeat, podcasts@newslaundry.com. Manish has just picked up about 12 books upstairs from Ram Guha to Chetan Bhagat and everything in between.
We have great books.
And we will courier that to you as a gift with a personalized message from the team. So if you can get 3 of your friends to subscribe, I think you got about 15 books you had pulled out, right?
About
Right now.
8, I think.
Right, we have 2-3 copies of one. Prayag Akbar's also. So yeah, those are all the announcements. So let's get to the headlines and then we'll get into the discussions.
Yes, so the Uttar Pradesh cabinet has approved the state's digital media policy 2024. In this, you will be civilly punished with life imprisonment if you post anti-national content. Abhadra, आपत्तिजनक और anti-national content अगर आपने किया तो आप जेल जाएंगे. But more importantly, you can earn up to 8 lakh rupees if you praise the government on any of your chosen social media platforms. And of course, you have to be an influencer. So it's a scheme for influencers. So we shall talk about that. The release of the Hema Committee report, which revealed abysmal working conditions and rampant sexual harassment faced by women in the Malayalam film industry, has triggered another Me Too wave in Kerala. Amid a storm of sexual harassment allegations against big industry names, the Association of Malayalam Movie Artists announced on August 27 that all of its office bearers were resigning en masse. So Mohanlal.
Yeah, but Dhanya, just before we continue the headlines, other than this happening, has it led to any new people coming out to kind of seek accountability, or is it the same people who've been fighting for so long for this? Some film stars, some voices of reason, or are there more people who've said, okay, in about time we do something?
No, we have seen at least, I think, actually I've lost count, but 7 to 8 people's, what they told on television channels or newspapers have been made into FIRs now by the Kerala police. So there are cases against almost some 6-7 actors, most of them top actors. One is a CPIM MLA. He has got, I think, 2 cases now. So yes, a lot of cases are being filed. Many more people are coming out, but I think there's also deterrent that they think if they come out, they do have to file a complaint with the police. So that could be acting as a deterrent for some people from speaking up.
We can discuss this in detail. Meanwhile, the West Bengal police on Tuesday clashed with protesters who tried to march towards the state secretariat as part of the March to Nabarna protest rally demanding the resignation of Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee. So a lot of dramatic visuals came out of there this week. The bodies of 2 Dalit girls were found hanging from a tree in Farrukhabad district in Uttar Pradesh. The girls were aged 15 and 18. We don't know yet the cause of death.
And it's so similar to the similar case, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Again in UP, from a tree, there were 2 sisters.
It was in Unnao.
Vardhan, correct.
The Union Cabinet approved the Unified Pension Scheme that will apply to about 23 lakh central government employees. The scheme was announced with the backdrop of protests by government employees against the National Pension Scheme, popularly known as the New Pension Scheme. And of course, Himachal, one of the reasons they suffered a big setback was supposedly because of OPS. So that could be one reason. The Congress and National Conference have announced a seat-sharing arrangement for the upcoming assembly elections. Meanwhile, Dushyant Chautala's JJP has tied up with Chandrasekhar Azad's Azad Samaj Party for the elections in Haryana.
That's an interesting alliance.
Yeah, you have 21% Dalit voters in Haryana. So I think everybody is going to try.
But I'm just thinking, considering, Chandrasekhar Azad is on the up. He's seen as this young, he hasn't been tainted by any, political compromises or corruption. He's, fresh face. I wonder, alliance with Dushyant Chautala, whose JJP is quite discredited after his convenient going this way, that I'm wondering if that'll help either party.
Yeah, and Ram Rahim has a huge, hold over the Dalit voters in Haryana.
Oh, does he?
And that is why he's out. Yeah. So 21%.
So, but his alliance is clear. It's with
his alliance is very clear because he's out on parole.
Parole, correct.
So
Just
the
before
government
election,
has helped him. So
but it's a sad commentary on our democracy when people say that before the EC announces the election dates, you know that the election's around the bend when Ram Rahim gets parole. So it's a very sad commentary.
Yeah.
Yes.
A 14-year-old girl was allegedly gang raped in Assam's Nagaon district last Thursday. One of the 3 accused was arrested and then he died a day later. And the police claimed that he jumped into a pond in an escape bid when he was taken to the crime scene late at night.
And his hands were tied. He was taken at 3 a.m. in the
To the
morning.
crime scene.
And the police is giving the reason that there were protests all over in the city, so that is why we had to save him. So that is why we could not take him.
See, this is why the new broadcast bill is being brought about. This all this. Bhakt Banerjee was saying, police is working so fast. It is working in the middle of the night. You have a problem with this?
And his hands were tied.
This case has led to a lot of tension because the accused are Muslim, and there's a lot of
and Pratyush was
accusation
who
around
comes
it.
from Assam, and he's our reporter. So he was telling that the Muslims, all these people, they are very, they know, this thing, swimming very well.
Yeah, also they showed a
Because
photograph
they're
of the
in the
guy.
fishing business or something like that.
Yeah, but today there was a video on Madhya Pradesh with these police, 3-4 of them, including a woman cop, beating up this old lady and her grandson in a police station mercilessly. Whenever there is any, I won't even say atrocity, but when police is painted as a victim, as they have been even in the Bengal protest, and sympathy with the guy whose eye was bleeding because he was. But generally, I find it very hard to sympathize with cops, no matter what happens to them, because in general, their conduct is so disgusting that remember when the police was sitting on dharna outside the commissioner's office here in Delhi just 2-3 years ago, when one of them started crying, are we not? I laughed when he was crying. I was like, have you stepped on Delhi's roads? Have you seen what the cops do here? Fuck me if I'm going to be really sympathetic to you, man. I cannot be sympathetic to a cop no matter what. It is very hard because daily the kind of shit that you see them do, it's just very hard to counterbalance that.
So, meanwhile, Himanta Biswa Sarma continues to make statements like Mia Muslims are going to take over the state. His remarks came after a fundamentalist organization threatened Mia Muslims in Upper Assam to leave the administrative division. This is all because of this rape case.
And also,
and of course, he keeps marrying
apparently, there are some talk about, his property illegally acquired. So, just to divert the attention, he is making this communal build-up.
Right. Also, I saw in the assembly when he said, yes, I'm partisan, what can you do about it?
Mia Musalman Manukhene Gute Ham Loboi. Amiu Lobon Nidu. Hoigol. Apuni ki koi ase? Apuni ki koi ase? Are moi poikho lom na apuni ki koribo? Moi poikho lomei. Bas moi poikho lomei. Please. Ji kore korok na.
The childish nature of our
but it's open, and it's so amazing that despite the election results, what has happened, I don't think any lessons have been learned, or maybe it is working in Assam, but clearly the speeches, the Mia Muslims, the Matan Mughal Masjid did not work as far as the Prime Minister is concerned. But clearly the lessons either are not being drawn, or maybe it works in Assam, remains to be seen.
Who knows, let's see.
Bharat Rashtra Samiti leader K. Kavita was released from Tihar jail after the Supreme Court granted her bail in the liquor policy case. And I still have problems saying Bharat. It's always TRS for me. Telangana Rashtra Samiti.
But man, they really came down heavily on the Supreme Court, that the way this has been investigated, which is, of course, it was very clear to everybody. But
it was always said that the PMLA is invincible. If you get arrested under PMLA, you won't get bail.
No, not just that, but how selectively they use it. Depending on who, they have arrested all these people on the basis of two people's bayans who have got bail.
Right.
It's just ridiculous.
Kangana Ranaut is back in news. She's promoting her film Emergency, which actually looks quite good. The trailers look quite promising
Emergency.
to me. But she's back in news because of her statements. In one of her interviews, she said that farmers' protests could have led to Bangladesh like anarchy. BJP quickly told her कि please आप अपने film promotion के चक्कर में हमारी हरियाणा election की नैया ना डुबाएं और कृपया ज़्यादा ना बोलें.
We have a friend from the south who doesn't understand Hindi, so please.
So she was asked to basically not talk on behalf of the party.
Now, sir, you can tell me, when was the last time you saw the BJP officially take out a statement rebuking an MP, sitting MP, and telling that MP not to even speak? Not are you only authorized not to speak, but not to speak in future about these things?
Perhaps
it's very rare.
Perhaps for the first time.
Yeah, very rare.
No, but
I love this one cartoon.
Nupur Sharma and that H. Raja were suspended for their comments.
Yes.
H. Raja is
was,
Gosha Mahal MP from Hyderabad. He was, MLA, sorry. He was suspended for his comments on Allah. Same with Nupur, but of course he was given a ticket to contest again. Nupur has not sort of made a comeback.
Yeah,
But they were not publicly reprimanded, or they were not,
I mean, well, they were suspended.
But maybe they were, but Kangana makes more news.
no, but we are also talking about a sitting MP.
True.
Right.
Spokesperson.
Dhanya,
behind.
sitting MP, not MLA also, sitting MP. I'm just trying to understand exactly what is, I mean, it is an echo of their situation in Haryana. They
100%.
don't want to take any chances, it seems, at this point of time.
I have a different reading though.
Okay.
At the risk of sounding overwoke, which very few people can accuse me of, I genuinely believe it's sexism. It's Kangana, so they can say shut up. To Brij Bhushan, they would not say shut up. To Rane, the guy who just snatched that ABP reporter's mic, you saw what he did, right?
Yeah.
Like
I
he
can't
is a goon. They will not say, Narayan Rane, behave yourself, shut up. But Kangana ko you can say. So I
Plus,
think
I
there
think
is...
they don't appreciate कि film promotion कर रही है.
Our
और वो-
MP also, he wasn't reprimanded also.
Oh, of course,
The
in Parliament.
South Delhi.
Yeah, Biduri.
Biduri.
Biduri, Ramesh Biduri.
So I think it's sexism, especially a woman, and that too a woman in showbiz. Easy to
Ramesh
switch
Biduri
up.
was
हो सकता है.
ultimate, I mean.
Or BJP, as you said, Manisha, they understand the fact that she's just looking for promotion at this point of
but
time
I
for
don't
a
think
movie.
they
Without
appreciate that
controversy,
also.
that movie cannot work. I do not
No,
know how the
also-
trailers look, but without controversy,
Decent-ish.
Kangana
No,
cannot
but I know
work.
I think the SGPC has asked for a ban because it shows Jarnail
Sikhs
Singh Bhindranwale in a poor light or whatever, and then it shows.
The assassination.
Oh, and during in some interview, she said that when the farmers' protests happened, there were rapes happening there.
Ah.
So I mean, she's of course a
Rape हो
bit.
रहा था और लोग टंगाए गए थे.
Hmm.
There were 2 cases, but anyway. Kangana being, but she's been very humble after this reprimand. She's gone.
What do you
everywhere.
think, Dhanya? Why is it easy to reprimand Dhanya and not the rest?
Kangana, yaar, not
Sorry,
Dhanya.
Kangana.
No, I think there is some truth to what Akash is saying and perhaps to what you're saying also. Now, that depends. If other people say things, if men say things like this and they don't get suspended, then okay, your theory is right. But otherwise, the BJP seems to be on the back foot, and this is an election they have to win, right? So perhaps they're just being careful.
ठीक है.
BCCI Secretary Jay Shah was elected unopposed as the independent chair of the International Cricket Council, youngest member ever
Celebrate.
at 35.
I'm so happy India's.
Celebrate.
Yeah, you know, India is.
See, hard work pays.
No, also,
Hard
I
work
think
pays.
Jay Shah
Yes.
is going to do us proud. Like a few years ago, some Indian bought the East India Company. Now Jay Shah has taken over ICC.
Yes.
Now I just want to see an Indian team play at whatever Old Trafford or something. That's all I need now.
India is ready to play an active role in efforts to secure peace. That's what Prime Minister Narendra Modi told Ukraine President on Friday. He was there on a visit. After his visit, the PM also spoke to Russian President to exchange perspectives on the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And of course, images of him with Zelensky with his hand on his shoulder and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, after that, Russia bombed Ukraine and Kyiv in a big way. So.
I think poor Modi ji, whenever he lands in any of these countries, they say, "Aaj bomb karte hain," to make him look even more awkward, which is very sad. We're on Modi ji's side on this. So those are the headlines. And I repeat, the 500th episode, the show notes, there's a form. Please click on the form. This episode will not be behind the paywall. It's free to everybody. Share it with your friends. Let's get more and more people to watch and listen to Hafta. Now, since I have such an amazing team, there are 2-3 things that I've been promising for several Haftas, if not 500, that we will have a robust discussion on the most, viable and fair and least compromised model for news. So I think that is one of the things I'd like to discuss. Also with digital commentators versus journalists versus print versus broadcast. There are many such meta issues that I would like to talk about, especially UP mein jo hua hai. But first, let me go with Anand, and then we shall, because Dhanya has worked in broadcast, they've worked on ad model. As far as models are concerned, first I'll just put the context. There are primarily 3 or 4 models for news. One is, of course, ads, which is the most common. During broadcast days, whether you were socioeconomic bracket A, B or C determined your ad rates. For example, on NDTV, we'd see if Suzuki was launching a new luxury car, or the Mercedes ad used to come. And on India TV, you'd see Lux Cozy, etc. So, based on your socioeconomic bracket, even the ad rates for 10 seconds was not based only on how many people were watching. It was based on what is the strata that is watching you. Which is why at that time, an NDTV English's ad rate was more than the ad rate of, let's say, India TV, although India TV may have had a lot more viewers. Second is the government ads, which is patronage. Third is with digital coming in, it's just number of hits. It doesn't matter what. I mean, of course, it does matter that the rates go up and down, but not by as much as they used to in the broadcast days, in the early days of broadcast. And one model is, which I think, Nehru was a visionary in that sense. In every city, like Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg, all those big Times House, Express House, Patriot House, National Herald House, these plots, which is amongst the most expensive real estate in the country, were given by Nehru to news organizations that you can use 1/3 for news and news-related operations, and 2/3 you can rent out, and then you don't need ads. The rent will pay for publishing the news, which is actually a phenomenal, very, I think, visionary model. Of course, the greed of our publishers made that happen. National Herald being a case in point, they weren't publishing a paper, they were just rented out the whole building. And many people have done that. They don't give a fuck about news. But the only way they can keep that building is if they publish a paper. But they don't actually need ads. In fact, many papers which are very well known, they only publish one page there to keep in compliance with the rule. The rest of the paper is published, it's outsourced. And of course, there's a subscriber model. We have discussed the pros and cons of many of these models. The subscribe model is you can end up talking to a, echo chamber. And you'll only kind of pander to, and that echo chamber need not be ideological. If you're in Bangalore, you'll only do stories about tech. If you're in Delhi, you'll only do stories about, the urban elite or Gurgaon problems or Noida problems.
Lutyens.
Not about Badaयूं problems or something. You will not. So these are the several. So that's the context. Now, I have spoken enough. Let's go around the table. Let's start with Anand. Anand, if you were INB minister, which I'm sure you will be one day, don't forget us that day, please. What?
I will be everything in the world.
Why
Judge bhi hai, solicitor bhi hai, INB bhi, minister
Why so everything in the world. What do you think is the best combination of a revenue model for news so that you can be relevant, sustainable, and in public interest? I missed one model, but I'll come to that later.
Let us begin with a historical trivial regarding Nehru's idea of
model,
that
revenue model.
Street, Bahadur Shah Zafar Marg. Now, Catherine, the biographer of Indira Gandhi, had a different take on it, that controversial biography. So she said that Nehru was under a lot of pressure to rehabilitate Firoz Gandhi in a newspaper. And she alludes to a number of things that he tried. And setting up National Herald and a position for him was one of them. So that could have been the genesis. But of course, a lot other things fell into the place, and he would have then come up with this blueprint for other newspapers also. So, and that is one, the side story. I think what has happened with the idea of independent media and why the subscription model is now being bashed up for other things, like one thing, echo chamber, is I would go back to an American writer writing in 20th century. Harold Rosenberg, who said that the New York intellectuals are a herd of independent minds, a herd of Jhund.
There was a contradiction in
terms. So, a herd of independent minds means they are independent but inherently limited by the fact that they are independent through a consensus. They are speaking same thing, and they are top heavy, a kind of group speak. So I think that has percolated to the subscription model, where financial influences have been insulated, like from corporates or governments. But the editorial biases, editorial leadership has a certain view which can be seen, a lot of editorializing in reporting, the kind of stories people do, and this. So that is one limitation in that.
But that's not a limitation unique to subscribers. I mean, that is a limitation that is the human condition. So specifically, would you say that's unique to this, or was that the case?
Yes. So the legacy media, let's say newspapers, which I consider the strongest news product that news industry has thrown up. So the newspapers will also have these biases, but the operation is so vast, and being organizations, some of them, the measure of them as chronicles or newspapers of record, they will inform say Prime Minister said this thing. This can be reported without going into that whether this claim is fake or not.
And also the scale is so big, it's very difficult to establish a similarity of editorializing. Right?
Suppose Prime Minister announced a scheme. Now, information about the scheme is important for a news consumer before going into whether this scheme is, let's say,
a sop
or something, or
peanuts.
So that initial point will the legacy media is the place to go for. After that, like special stories dissecting these things can happen. This third is that what has the proliferation of different models has done is that it has cluttered the news space. And anyway, because of technological revolution, we are in an age of over-articulation. There are just too many perspectives. So let us say mobile phone. So mobile phone and laptops, say, or television set. So anyone going to that has other options also of going to 2-minute reels, or not 2 minutes, that is too long, means or
10 seconds.
So,
sure.
So the news platforms have to compete with entertainment,
right,
to get the attention. So news has also to be presented in a way that somehow outplaces that. That's
the reality show.
Yes. So
model.
And that was with television also, but in digital platform, because in newspaper there is very limited space of what you will give on a paper. At most an ad or an actor's photograph or an actress photograph. But on mobile phones and television screens, you have just too many options to leave news and watch anything else. I digressed from the models, but I see that as one of the problems.
But what do you think is a robust model that can kind of balance all these?
No, I don't see a lot of problem with advertising the conventional way. I think advertising, as Habermas said, that it expanded the public sphere because it subsidized news consumption. Because the news producers and publishers were taking money from other places. So, say a newspaper, if it is not subsidized through advertising, would cost you 50 rupees a day. Because newsprint is very expensive and this. So, Habermas says that the penny press, what he says, the penny press, because it was very economical for the average newspaper reader to get to spend a few cents. So in Europe, the newspaper revolution came through advertising. Otherwise, in absence of subsidized news, it would not
but
have
I
grown.
think there was a place and time for everything. I mean, if I were to take the most recent example of the Hindenburg report, and how, if everyone's partisan, but you got to be an idiot. Arnab is not an idiot. He went to Oxford and all that. The fact that Adani had pretty much sponsored every show that day, to me, it is so broken, because at a certain time, yes, it worked. But when's the last time you saw any big corporate expose done by a newspaper? It will not be done. It's not like they don't know. You can see, in fact, what Hindenburg report has said about the structuring. Forget everything else. Let's say everything else is conjecture. Just the company, the Singapore-based entity, which is the final beneficiary, is a clear violation. Yeah. I mean, even a economics graduate like me knows that. But no one will bring that up. So, and I think as companies become more powerful, like in the 80s, 70s, even 90s, the companies weren't so powerful. But one guy could not influence policy to the level they can today. I think now it has got to a level where, I mean, Tesla can influence who gets internet and who doesn't, with his Starlink. So I think also with time it changes. But Dhanya, I know your job is basically editorial, but new media requires editors also to now start being smart about what is the best way forward. What do you see the pros and cons? And when you are the INB minister, which you inevitably will be after Anand Vardhan resigns on moral grounds, what is the ideal model you would suggest?
When I joined politics, I wouldn't aim for being an INB minister. I'll be home minister, something like.
Okay, I have to stay on her good side.
And when I was working on TV, this Akash Banerjee used to be one of our anchors. And imagine, like on Saturday, Sunday, I'll have to call Akash and ask, can you include this story in your rundown? Will you please take this Chennai story, Akash? And the Delhi anchors had to be benevolent on us. And so I used to think that I'm like this marketing agent. It's not enough that I report. I have to market my story to Akash or anyone else in Delhi to ensure that they put that in my rundown.
You are mistaking your another A, not Akash, but another A. But anyways,
Akash was on Saturday shifts. I remember very well.
Arnab, okay. Akash, same.
Akash was on Saturday shift and RSS was on Sunday shifts. So I prefer to Saturday shift. That's another thing.
You worked with RSS, I didn't know. Oh.
Yes, he did. So I feel like my life is a continuation of that marketing agent form, which is if in times now I have to sell my story here, I have to sell everything, like the site, I'm making people come and read, telling people it's important to pay. I mean, to be very frank, even 3-4 years ago, I resisted the paywall. I said, no, journalism is a public good, which it is. Mm-hmm. But then I think Abhinandan convinced me. And I think Vignesh also that people also have to value what you do. And for that, they have to pay. I mean, people cannot keep saying that, oh, look, you have to give it for free because it's public interest. There will be public interest. But if you're not there, then how do we serve public interest, right? Like, for example, we put this long piece on Dilip behind a paywall. I cannot tell you the kind of resistance I have faced from the public. We have so many emails coming in. I have had even actors, people with money, like a lot of money, not willing to pay the 500 rupees and asking for the PDF. Just because they're so resistant to paying for something which they think they should get free. So I told them, don't you value our work? Don't you want more of this work? And at one point, somebody told me, you're commercializing rape. Of course, I lost it and I gave my whole rant to that person. But the point is, I don't know if people in India are still, I know that you all have worked out the model very well, but I feel like how do we reach out to a larger population with this, right? Where people have to realize that this is perhaps the only way forward, or you're going to be stuck. I mean, sometimes I think that all of us should shut down and people just to suffer with the others.
Yeah. Then all you have is Times, Republic, then khao kadi, as Dadima would say.
I'm just sorry to break this very optimistic scenario. So Dhanya, you think that you will shut down, we'll shut down, everybody will shut down, and there'll be trahi and people will go, where is Dhanya? Where is Dhanya? No. Let's not live in this fake understanding of people will die for good news. Had it been so, I think we would all be in a much, much better place. I think what we are doing is swimming against the tide and showing people, oh, this is also an alternative reality, which is actually the real reality.
No, but Akash, there will be a time when people think, oh my God, where is that other media which will report the other side, right?
I guess that's why we are surviving, because there are enough number of people who have understood what they have been being fed on.
Of course, that's what I said. How do we reach a larger set of people?
But I'm just saying is that will they gasp for breath? I wish it is so.
I think it will. It may not be. I mean, depending on how you word it, I do think there'll be enough of a demand and a vacuum that someone can fill.
But let Dhanya finish. I have a slightly different view, but let her finish. Let her finish.
Dhanya, carry on.
No, that's all. I mean, there has to be a combination. I feel that it's in the long run, it can also be challenging to only depend upon one sort of revenue or the other. Even if it's from the audience, we have to keep reinventing and thinking like different things, because otherwise it's exhausting for even journalists. it's, because they have to then think of ways to write their story, like be more creative. There's a lot of pressure, right? I see even young reporters now telling me, ma'am, will my story go behind paywall? Because they think that that's
a measure. That's the gold
So
standard.
So there's so much pressure also. Sometimes I feel like I know that this is not going, but they feel like, oh my God, my story is not worth it, which is why it's not going. So I don't know. I feel like we're also putting a lot of pressure on people. So while if a lot more people realize that this model will work out, and the pressure will decrease.
Yeah. What do you think? One is, of course, for influencers, I don't know. Do you see yourself as an influencer, as a journalist, as a commentator? If you were to describe yourself, like I describe myself as a news professional, many people introduce me as a journalist, and I say I'm a news professional, and because I don't think I'm a journalist, but I am in the news space. How do you describe yourself? And for you, to Yogi ji has an 8 lakh scheme, that if you praise the government, you can get up to 8 lakhs. So what's wrong with that model?
I'm thinking 8 lakhs a month. I'm just imagining the kind of goodwill the government will generate with social media entrepreneurs very, very soon. So I actively resist being called a journalist for sure, because I don't think I deserve the tag in the good or the bad way. The few journalists, the digital journalists who are doing a great job, and of course the others who have completely ruined the name of journalism. So sometimes it's new age media entrepreneur, it is sometimes satirist, it is sometimes commentator. So it is satirist / commentator is what I would go with. But on the point, I mean, this is something that's very close to my heart, and I thought, I mean, it's a good platform here on Newslaundry to discuss this, because you have a very, very educated audience also, much, much more than what we would dream of at TheDeshbhakt. So Abhinandan, I think you guys are the gold standard as far as subscription-based services are concerned. We did launch as a subscription-only service on TheDeshbhakt, where we said we are going to be on Patreon, and you guys are going to come and give us money, and we are going to be completely, ad-free and all that stuff. What we realized is, without any grant or without any ads or subscription, we could only be maybe 2 people strong or 3 people strong, but in a small office. Yeah, because you got a small little push when initially some people resonated with you, saw that you are trying to do something different, and they were willing to pitch. But then it basically tapers off. That's what our understanding is. And to grow to even a half a dozen with a small little office also, we had to open up to advertising. Not very proud about the fact that we have to do advertising of something which might related to hair fall or sometimes related to edutech.
Well, if it is hair fall, they've chosen a good brand ambassador because you have a lovely head of hair.
बचेगा नहीं बहुत दिन तक. But anyway, so
I've never seen a hair ad though.
There is.
I've seen education.
There is. So what was the thought process? As Dhanya was saying, that we have to have multiple forms. So, I think it is unique to every organization. What we have said is our membership should be able to sustain us even if we do not get any ads, even YouTube payments. It should be enough to pay the salaries. So we will not expand our team beyond the basic memberships that we are getting. Uske upar all the money that we are considering as capital expenditure, which is basically if I want to do something in the office, which I want to buy hardware, which I want to subscribe to a new, softwares these days take a lot of money also, as a matter of fact. And now you have AI coming in, and then, FPC and Premiere Pro. So all that money goes into that. So it's a bit of a hybrid situation at this point of time, because we don't want to suddenly what happens if Patreon is shut down or, some new regulation comes into play. So it is better to diversify. But and this I would hope that you can address with your audiences. Can people be a little bit more sensitive? As Dhanya was saying, people with money, people with the ability, they don't want to pay, and that's where we are stuck. That journalists के पास तो बहुत पैसा होगा, वो public service कर रहे हैं. अगर आपने पैसा नहीं कमाया तो आप झोला छाप हो. So if you don't have money, you're on the street, then you're a झोला छाप journalist. If you're able to make do and run a small team, then apparently you're Soros funded. So where do you go between these two? So then I decided it is better to be called Soros funded and CIA deep agent rather than being on the street, because you will get abused either way. That I have come to realize. So it is better to survive, thrive, have a small team, be called names, but at least having that ability and independence. And that we have never compromised. The amount of money we have let go from political parties, from political persons who have said हमारा social media manage कर दो, हमें consultancy दे दो, हमें ये बता दो, अच्छा तुम अच्छे tweets दे दो, you can say anything you want about the party, but give us your great tweets. But we have said no to that. So we've said no to a lot of things, but we have said yes to a few things which are not the best. We are not proud about it, but to maintain our independence, yes.
See, you got to remain alive in order to make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, being dead, you make no difference. So I completely am with you on that. I think that is what a lot of people don't get. And I don't expect you to. I think that is something that, as, you know, people who are more senior and in a more management role, it's not going to stop. And, you know, Dhanya, even for you, like, it has to be explained on a regular basis to journalists, because, you know, when you're in your 20s, 30s, you haven't really thought it through. Like, people like you or me or maybe Dhanya now, when we are waking, that's a part of entrepreneurship, you're thinking of this all the time. You know, it's just really boring what's in our heads. From the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep, I'm just thinking, okay, like, how do I get the next 5 reporters? Because so you've thought it through for so many man hours, you have come to conclusions that are more informed, more dissected, more thought through than someone young. So you will have to convince them time and again, because many youngsters said, oh, I won't do this. If you just turn around and say, okay, so how should I pay your salary then? They won't have an answer, but they haven't thought it through. You know, that immediate, that idealistic bias it should be behind, oh, it's for public and it's over. So, you know, of course, if you want to be really nasty, say, okay, why don't you give me your resignation, set up a company, figure out how salaries are paid, and I'll come and work for you. Yeah. Because, you know, this immediate reaction, this very activisty, idealistic reaction is, but, you know, I'd just like to come to Raman and Manisha now. Just one more little thing for our audience. Deutsche Welle and BBC, I'll tell you what their models are and why BBC, being funded by the public, is still so independent that they can not just criticize, sometimes really launch into their PM. Their budget is approved by the parliament for the next 7 years or 6, I don't know what it is. So today's PM cannot undo that. So you can do whatever. So if you tweak their budget for the next 7 years, you don't know whether it's going to affect you or not. So it's not in your interest. And Deutsche Welle's budgets, which is a German channel, are approved by the parliament, not by the party or the government, by the parliament, which has to have opposition voices as well. And that money then is distributed for their programming overseas. Deutsche Welle doesn't beam in Germany because that will warp their market. So the local market is by private channels. And the government channel only beams overseas. So that's yet another weird government-funded model, but it will not compete with the local private network. So that is also one model. So what do you think, Manisha? We've discussed this so often here.
Models. So if we just zoom out a little bit, I think one of the fundamental aims of journalism is to have credible information. Everything else follows after that, truth to power, investigations, whatever. And increasingly, I'm really worried about the quality of information. That's the very basis of journalism, right? Some incident happens and you're able to read a report that sheds clarity on basic who, what, you know, where, why. And increasingly that's disappearing in this time with social media. Like just with this Kolkata rape case, I'm seeing YouTubers sit very seriously talk about this being a murder case with zero, like they have never probably read a postmortem. They've never been crime reporters. They don't know, you know, crime, what the procedure is. And very seriously sitting and talking about, could this have been a murder? And garnering scores of views. And we are seeing this increasingly in every event, how difficult it is becoming for people to access basic information or have basic clarity on an event that has happened. And I think that's really fundamental when it comes to journalism. Newspapers, I think, do this day in and day out. They are able to put out basic facts of what's happening around you with consistency and with clarity. Not all newspapers, of course, but I think prominent newspapers in India are still doing a good job of it. I, for example, read Indian Express and The Hindu, and I think they do a fabulous job after every event to just tell me what's happening. And that kind of a model requires reporters across the country, bureaus, senior people that you can hire, desks. I mean, it's a mammoth. Anyone who's worked in a newspaper would know this. It's a mammoth scale, and that kind of scale cannot be, I think, sustained by subscriptions. So something like a New York Times where there's ads and there's subscriptions. So there's a mix of both that can keep a grand operation running, because I really think that information gathering is crucial to a democratic operation. Because once that first thing gets muddied, you know, if you don't have access to basic information, hua kya, then everything gets muddied after that. And that's a very scary world to live in. So not to say that doesn't have problems. Like Gardner Harris, in fact, he was the New York Times correspondent in India. He's written a book on Johnson's and Johnson's on, this whole thing around how the talcum powder caused cancer. And he, in his book, it's going to be out soon, says that because it's such a big advertiser, Johnson's, NYT and Washington Post tried to, kill these stories. So even at that level, of course, there are all these compromises, but I still think consistently on a daily basis, information gathering is very important. I think newspapers do a best job of it for now. And that is because they have the money to have those operations. Incidentally, Gardner Harris was also one of the first journalists in India, I just remembered, to talk about pollution. I remember this long op-ed he had written about his saying that he's really happy he's leaving India because his son had a terrible time here.
Yeah.
And everyone got after him.
They trashed,
Gora aadmi humko. In fact, Newslaundry mein bhi Anand Raghunathan ek piece likha tha. But anyway, I feel very foolish about that now. But so newspapers, and then I think...
Well, Anand Raghunathan doesn't.
Then you have organizations like Newslaundry, News Minute. I think you need organizations also that can ignore that daily grind and say have a Nidhi Suresh who's worked for 6 months on a profile of Dilip. Or we have currently reporters who've been on the story for 10 days looking at the Godi media in Bangladesh and how they kind of, misled Hasina's government and also the country and what it can do. But I want that, I want to do that in a world where somebody's taking care of daily information. So I guess what you need is a diversity. Television news, of course, has been a complete tragedy and there's no way of figuring out how to fix it. But I still feel that irrespective of whatever 2024, we had a lot of debate, ki television news is important or YouTubers are challenging. All that is happening. But I think TV news' reach is still the most watched when it comes to news. And when a Sudhir Chaudhary does a show on Rao, where 3 students have died, he goes and does a show. It has an impact. It has a very substantial impact. So I think that mainstream media has to fix its act. I know you feel let it all burn down and let them disappear. But I feel like they're just too important to be so corrupt as they are today or to completely disappear because we need that mass reach. We need that audience and we need them to kind of fix their act. Right. And one last thing, I think what is more worrisome is we've had, of course, Ambani. We've done so many stories on control of media. There are rumors that they may be buying a paper. Every now and then we hear this. Adani, of course, has a channel, may buy another property. This rampant kind of control of media by 2 or 3 people, that I think you need very strict regulation to come into place for that. They own our, cable. They own news channels. Internet.
They own the pipeline. They own what's inside the pipeline. They own the production house that produces what goes inside the pipeline. It is... Ambani is influencing.
There has to be some check on
if
that.
you really dissect this. So
even with corporate funding or corporate advertising, like with electoral bonds, there was this fund set up, right, where all corporations can put in money and then that fund gives political. Maybe something like that for news, where that fund then gives news to.
You really, I hope Newslaundry takes the leadership on this. What Manisha is saying, what we all discussed, there are a lot of, your subscribers obviously know a lot of this. A lot of our educated audience know as far as the failure of the media is, the concentration of the power and the money. I think the story really is that despite all of this money and pipeline and owning everything, the narrative could not be owned. I think what 2024 elections
was phenomenal. Yeah, I think that's
the fact that few content creators, few websites, few organizations were able to break that narrative, that stronghold. The fact that a Sudhir goes today and does reporting, it's obviously a kind of a pushback that has happened. He's come to realize that he also has to balance himself, and that is happening. My worry is that the way mainstream media, despite everything, now the guns being trained on digital media and independent content creators, because after all the money that you have put in, you were not able to control the narrative. You were not able to control 100% of what people are having a conversation. And people who want to dig in information, want to have real information, will go to a Newslaundry, will go to a Ravish, will come to a Deshbhakt. And the attempt to stop that from happening by force, not by money now, by force, is what should be really, really rankling us right now.
Yeah. But coming to you, Raman sir, what is your You've worked in big newspapers. You've seen, and like what Anand was saying, I think there is great merit to, no matter how much we trash Times now, I still read the Times of India as a newspaper because the scale of the reporters, and if a rock has fallen in Telangana, their reporter is there saying a rock has fallen in Telangana. It doesn't matter what I think about Navika or that information. So there's a certain non-partisanship to that scale purely because of scale. You've worked in that setup. You've worked in this setup. You've worked with various pressures. You've worked for owners who've asked you to do stuff. You've worked for people like me who've said you must always praise Arvind Kejriwal. I don't know whether I've always said that.
and that clip will be cut.
And that clip will be cut.
Immediately Bhakt Banerjee knows that clip is going to be cut.
So you have worked with various pressures. So you tell me about and also you have worked in an environment where, as reporters and editors, you were told don't think about the money. Tum stories karo, except when you were told to do this or why, because money was it. Now I all the time am calling meetings. Please understand the economics, and I'm sure for you it's very frustrating saying that this is not my job because that was the old model. But what do you think is the ideal mishmash bhujia that can be made to make news survive? But I would just like to say one thing before that. I think one premise that, I don't know whether you were suggesting that, but at least that seemed to me inherent in your, that you cannot get that scale. My view is that today's digital news operations should not go for that scale. I don't want to be Kalipuri. I don't want a 2 crore car. I think 50 news laundries will be the catalyst. वो क्या था chemistry में? A catalyst is something that influences the speed of a reaction while itself remains unchanged.
Correct.
So the news minutes, the news laundries don't have to become 500 crore enterprises. Many such will make sure that, like when we guys did the electoral bond story, it was News Minute, Scroll, News Laundry and a few independent journalists who sat through the night. Because by the morning there were 7 of our reports out, everyone had to take it up. So you have made the first domino fall. You don't have to become the biggest domino. I think that ambition, I think we have to stop having losers as entrepreneurs who get their self-esteem by the size of their house or their car, because they're such losers otherwise. I'm not taking names, but you know who you are. You guys are such fucking losers that if you don't have that house and that car, not even look at you. But we have to have people who don't give a fuck about that. I'm not saying we live uncomfortable lives. We live comfortable lives, but your thing is not like, that मैं media mogul बनूंगा, मेरा South of France बंगला होगा, farmhouse there. So 30 news laundries of, this operation is not a scale that you, so basically that is, we don't have to replace legacy media. We just have to become a network of
we don't have to replace
so
it, but I feel like they should exist.
You are also talking about the scale. In fact, scale matters. And the way you want to reach that scale is something which is very different from the legacy media. So which is pretty good. I mean, 30 mini news laundry, but reaching the same scale which Times of India has reached and the others have reached. So I think it's a good way to go ahead, and I think digital media is a way ahead in future. I think digital media is the only way ahead, and we need to think about the scale, whichever way we can reach it. That's what I feel.
Okay.
Now, I have worked with 17, 18 organizations, mostly print media, and 2 television network also, India Today and NDTV.
But as a medium, you don't really like broadcast.
No, I worked there. I learned about it. I understood it, and I think I understand much better this medium now. What I didn't like about it is,
TRPs.
Bite journalism is something which was very prevalent when I was working with these people. They never thought of a narrative or never thought of a story. They just thought of some visuals which is there. But I understand their limitations also, because video takes a lot of time to come out. So I understand that as well. But I think having said that, I've worked with 18 organizations, so I think I'll talk of 2 phases, and the third which was prevalent in both the phases. So I have worked with organizations which used media as a tool to they had other businesses, so they used this as a tool, even the news as a tool, to further their own the other businesses. So that I have seen in all the phases, both the phases.
Sure.
The first phase that I talk about, it wasn't all that bad. Even with the advertisements, we consider advertisements evil today. But I have seen, and here I will give an example of Indian Express, where I worked, most of the time. Like we did a story on Tata Alpha Nexus.
I remember that.
It was a tapes, Tata Alpha tapes, and Tata did not give us advertisement for 5 years.
Yeah.
5 times. But after that, he came on the board. What I am trying to say, when Tata did not give us, advertisement,
There were others who gave.
there were other corporate groups who were giving us
correct.
the ads, right? And there was not so much government fear from the government that
Right.
if they will give ad to us, the
Correct.
government is going to,
Go to them. Yeah,
close
correct.
them. This is the first phase, so which really worked. And, we were not like in Express, where I worked for 12 years. We were never under any kind of pressure. Okay. It was, and of course, Express also had additional benefit. Goenka, when he started Express, he like from Nehru, he got this building. So he got, he just started accumulating, all these real estate buildings. And so he had something in Chennai. He had the
Bombay.
Nariman point.
Which
He had
they
a
still have,
Huge,
Indian
he
Express,
still
right?
have part of it. Most of it has been sold off.
Right.
So he was getting, rent from them, and that is how
He
their
could fund his
journalism was alive. Now the second phase is what we have in the past 10 years, which is the ad is completely evil now.
And
so if
that also has to do with the power corporates
Power.
wield. They didn't
Yes.
wield the kind of power back then
Yes.
like they do today.
Yes. So now with BJP just ensuring that it will throttle any corporate group who will give ad to Newslaundry. So that fear, with that fear, and
Newslaundry का नाम क्यों लेते हो? हम तो लेते नहीं ad.
another
हमें क्यों बदनाम करते
thing, another thing is government has become the biggest ad
Advertiser,
giver,
right.
advertiser. So they are the ones who corporates. I think they like advertising through the entertainment, channels or different other channels, but they don't give.
Yeah, governments they give.
So now it has become very difficult. So these two phases I have seen. Now Newslaundry, where I am working for the past 6 years, and of course you keep saying about this, which is fine. I personally feel even when we face a lot of problems, the demarcation has to be there. I mean, if my mainstay is editorial, it stays. But what my CEO is telling me and what the others are saying, and also we are sharing that information, and there I need to reciprocate. Why not? I will reciprocate. But that, it may skip my mind that this news can be very helpful, in terms of getting subscribers and all. It may skip my mind, but I would rather I will be interested,
And sometimes that may spill into the red flag that Anand was raising.
Yeah.
Then you start pandering to a constituency of
Yes.
maybe urban elite or ideology.
Yes. So our strategy remains the same. The news, the news, which will be exclusive. We, of course, in the digital media, we're lesser number of people working. We need exclusivity. We should not appropriate, whatever is available on the net.
Sure.
If we appropriate
There has to be some ground reportage. Absolutely.
We
I
will
agree.
be dead,
So-
in some time.
Just want to add, like you were saying that you were sorry that you took a hair ad and all that. I just think, look, take those hair ads. That's totally fine. We get 3 videos on Bangladesh. I think you guys did 3 videos way before television news even knew Bangladesh mein kuch ho raha hai. I didn't see it anywhere except in your channel. So I think also, after a point, discussing models is important, but also professionals, like what kind of professionals are we getting in the industry that are able to make those decisions? Okay, you're taking a hair ad, but it doesn't mean it's not going to color or you're not going to randomly place it in a tacky way, or you're going to use that money to do public interest journalism. So that is also very important, and it's very tragic because journalism schools that we have been talking to, at least no one wants to be a journalist. So I don't know where these professionals are going to come from.
Which is fine. I would rather they don't come from journalism schools. I'd rather come from...
But still, like, I know that, you don't need to study journalism to be a journalist, but there's a certain amount of professionalism, certain amount of skills you need to learn.
No, what I am trying to say that if the ad
is disappearing.
if the ad is not influencing your journalism, so I think we can take that ad. So what I feel that YouTube, I mean, say if we have, we become stagnant in subscription, we need to innovate ourselves every time.
Absolutely.
All the time.
You have to think all the time. It's a guerrilla operation.
All the time. So if we feel that we are stuck somewhere when it comes to subscription model, but YouTube ads are not putting any kind of pressure on my journalism, I will go for it.
Yeah. So
a lot of people told us that.
So I'll just explain with specific numbers on why we don't take them, and I'm going to come back to you, Dhanya. Since you aren't in the room, you may end up feeling very left out. One is, like you had said that, we guys have, I don't like to use the word gold standard because one particular media house has ruined the meaning of the word.
I'm scarred.
So I think, just that we have set up a robust revenue model through subscriptions. And why we could do it is, when Newslaundry started, like when you are apologetic about stuff, in fact, sometimes I still get emails saying that I've stopped being so rude, but I used to say Mufat Khoro. I used to say Mufat Khoro a lot.
You still say it?
That I don't so much because I think now we have a lot more subscribers.
It was earlier more, yes.
I used to say it all the time. I used to taunt people. You're very whining about it. Bloody pay. Don't be a very conjuice. I'd say shit like that. Because I did not give a fuck about pissing people off, because I didn't have to have Newslaundry survive. My production house was way more than enough to feed me and give me a good life. Newslaundry was an offshoot of the production house as a Kida. So if it failed, fuck it. You see, it like when you have no options, that gives you a different kind of confidence. When you're desperate, right? If this doesn't work, you're fucked. So you will, in one sense, you try harder. But another confidence you get is when something doesn't have to succeed. Newslaundry was a passion project done with excess capacity of our cameras, production. We had a staff of 50. So I could say, dude, this is why I'm doing it. If you don't like it, fuck off. And that kind of appealed to certain people. They said, right, we will subscribe. And then later, as the size became bigger, people started getting offended. When you're saying that people, you have to be sensitive, you don't. People are just oversensitive about everything. But that's my view. But
I'll give you a small example. When we started Deshbhakt, of course, I think Deshbhakt gets a little bit of that DNA from Newslaundry also. Remember, we started from Newslaundry with Why So Serious?
Why So Serious. Right.
And I think we get a little bit of DNA from there also when we started doing T-shirts and we had memberships on Patreon. And we were asking for members. And they said, अच्छा भीख मांग रहे हो. तो I said, मोदी जी से सीखा है. मोदी जी भी टी शर्ट बेचते हैं. मोदी जी भी they did that whole parcha thing, na, 100 rupees for BJP. After having all the electoral bond, they also wanted 100 rupees from each people. So I said, I've learned, I am only following what Modi ji is doing. Then they will shut up.
Also, dude, the thing is, see, I've come to the conclusion very early of social media, you cannot frame your larger perspective based on Twitter conversations, because that is the lowest. So whether it is strategy, whether it is, I'm not thinking of that as a response to, because on Twitter an email saying, I'm cancelling my subscription because you do not, Anand Ranganathan is no longer, then cancel it, yeah. That 100 more people will come. I will cancel my subscription because you said this. Then fuck off, yeah. You see, you cannot be responding to Twitter all the time, because all the time on Twitter. So that cannot be your. I mean, you have to be thinking big. Like, for example, and this is an example which is a reality, what you call, policy triage. Triage for our viewers is a doctor has to decide if there's a person with a broken leg, a punctured lung, and someone with the jugular cut off. And he has to operate on one. He'll operate with the guy with the punctured lung because he can still save him. He can't save that guy, and this guy can wait. So I think that is the first thing that one has to think about, that we cannot be responding to. And just to give our viewers a perspective, in a year, we leave about 1.5 crore to 1.8 crore on the table by not activating ads on our YouTube channel. So if we activate ads on our YouTube channel, we will, based on the traffic we have over the last 2 years, we will get an additional 1.5 crores at least. But in my view, the subscribers I think our subscriber revenue, I'll have to check the books, will probably be 5.5 or 6 crore, or maybe between 5.5 to 6.5 crore for this financial year. Now, to get that 1 crore, I know I'm going to lose at least 2 crores from this year alone. And then those subscribers will come back next year and say, "Tere paas to ads hain." You see, if I have to convince 20,000 people, I have to have no ads on. What you're saying is right. It does not influence our decision, but it might, because then over time, you may say, the more traffic we get, 1.5 ka 3 crore ho raha hai, 3 ka 4 crore ho raha hai. Okay, we won't do it too much. Let's do one story a month about where Malaika went on holiday. Let's see where did Kim Kardashian go for Hawaii. We will do a hard hitting, but once a month we'll do. Then, sir, after you, when Manisha comes on board, she will do 2 such. Then when she hands over the reins to, a Tanishka or a Nidhi, Nidhi'll say, let's do 5 such. You see, it'll only keep... So, I think you have to kill it right at the beginning. So, that is not a road we can go down at all. And when it comes to the kind of stuff you have to say no to, Akash, we cannot take names. But the kind of stuff, the kind of money that is thrown to get favorable coverage, I can only imagine what kind of money is thrown at the legacy media. If they throw that kind of money at tuchas like us.
Correct.
And which we say no to. So
life would be very easy otherwise then.
So, and a lot of people...
You think all that Ayodhya coverage was for free? Again, a lot of money was made by a lot of channels.
So anything on this, Dhanya, before I move on to the next meta thing that I want to discuss?
No, nothing much to add, but I agree with...
So I'm using
paise mile, paise
mega.
Mega.
Well, I would say all thoughts are welcome. I agree with Manisha that... what is the company that you said, Manisha? Why can't you take from that also? It's not a problem, like you were saying, right? Some oil company. What is it? No.
Hair growth company that he's taken.
Are you talking about that Karnataka hair growth thing? Are you stuck with that?
No. That's a scam.
It's not a scam.
Oh my God, Manisha is a firm believer in it.
Adivasi hair oil.
Adivasi hair
I've been
oil
wanting Newsminute to do a story on it.
So apparently there was one guy who's doing it genuinely, but then the whole of the village is doing this scam.
But that one guy is right.
Achha, that one guy is right.
Do a story on that one guy who's genuinely selling Adivasi
I have
oil.
no idea what they're talking about.
Ads from him. After he becomes a millionaire, we'll take ads from him.
Okay.
Yeah, he can buy some equity.
Because there is a lot of money being thrown around. Because if Elvish Yadav can fly down, one of the Sapera YouTuber, the guy who got jacked because of snake venom, he flew down with his team to do Adivasi hair oil. And I was just thinking, what is the kind of money that we are talking about here? Because that guy takes a lot of money.
I mean, look at the kind of money Patanjali spends on advertising. Yeah. But anything else, Dhanya, on this?
No, that's all.
Okay. By the way, we'll not be doing mails today because we have this wonderful panel. I want to use their time most to discuss stuff. All the emails I'll read next week. We have a lot of them, a lot of feedback. So I will come back to the mails. In fact, you can send us mails, podcasts@newslaundry.com. I repeat, podcasts@newslaundry.com. And you can give us your take on, all that we are discussing.
Yeah, next episode can be all letters.
Next episode can be just all letters. So, coming to... digital versus commentators. I mean, I'll give you a simple example. 2 people who have tremendous reach. Of course, Dhruv Rathi's reach is way more. There's another guy called Mohak Mangal, I think. Mohak Mangal, who's also pretty good. He's a young guy. I was on a panel with him, in fact, a couple of years ago. But he doesn't have much
reach now. Beech mein hua tha, but he's not. I'd say like Abhinandan and all get more reach than him, no?
See, again, these things keep going up and down, so sometimes up, sometimes down. One doesn't know.
So, I on a panel, and he's fairly young. I think maybe now he's in his early 30s. Yes. But 2 years ago, we were on a panel together, and he had said that in this room, how many people know, he showed a picture of Sekhri Gupta. And probably everybody's hand went up. Then he showed a picture of one more guy. I didn't know who he was. How many people know who he is? Not a single hand went up. Now that guy whose face he showed has at that time he had some 25 or 30 million subscribers on YouTube. And his explainer on, I think it was a nuclear disaster or on space. And something, or maybe or maybe Chandrayaan or something had got like gazillion views. And Shekhar's had got maybe 100,000, 200,000. He said the problem is that this person's, thinks that journalism should only appeal to so many, but that person's journalism is appealing to so many. And what he was saying was that journalists haven't kept themselves relevant. So I just had to correct the boy that what that guy does is not journalism.
Correct.
Did he go to Sri Coimbatore? Has he been to, Baba Atomic Center? Journalist has got all the primary information.
Exactly.
And you are explaining it. And many of these boys think that they are the journalists, where they haven't even gone. Because without the primary information or source, you have nothing to explain. So
imagine if none of these newspapers existed. Like I said, what will you do your videos on?
Yeah,
where will you get your
So I
explainers
think
from?
some people like Dhruv understand that, and that's why they said our commentary is based on journalism by so-and-so. And some other guys say we have become journalists. So on that distinction, what is the role of a commentator? What is the role of a journalist? Is it inevitable that it'll get blurred? And, like for example, this beer biceps guy, he said that I get a lot of hate, but I'm just, putting all perspectives across. Now, that doesn't mean if I want to sit on his show and say, you know what, the sun rises from the west. I say, no, you got to say, no, it doesn't rise from the east,
I'll explain that to you.
So, I mean, that also, no, my job is just to sit and nod.
Big eyes.
So, that, that is another really dumb take, that my job is to show all perspectives. No, it's not.
So, okay, so I'll go first then?
Yeah, you go first.
Okay. So let's... So first and foremost, the beer bicep thing, and then of course the journalism versus commentator part. What beer bicep is doing is a very smart thing. Remember, beer biceps was this guy who till about 2-3 years ago was doing hand cream, how to keep your body fit, how to keep your private parts fit, and how to attract girls, etc., etc. That was his bread and butter.
Okay.
Somewhere down the line, he realized that no, isse to nahi hoga, and somewhere maybe he got inspired by Joe Rogan, and he said, no, let me do this. And to his credit, he pivoted his YouTube channel, and that's why beer bicep has no correlation with the podcast that he does. That was his channel earlier. So he pivoted at the right time because he saw there was a space and he started having these conversations. What people like beer biceps has done very well is, and that's why he will repeatedly say this, I want to bring both sides, because he understands that he cannot piss off the government if he wants those high profile guests, because what the government does very well is make people available.
Yeah.
And you will see people suddenly...
Access.
Yesterday, Kangana Ranaut was almost on 5 different channels, and suddenly I'm like, what is happening? I mean...
देखिए, हम हमेशा देश के पक्ष में बोलते हैं. जो इंसान देश के पक्ष में बोलेगा उसके पास अपने लिए कुछ करने के लिए, लूज करने के लिए है ही नहीं. पंजाब के लोगों को मेरे खिलाफ भड़काया जा रहा है, किसानों को मेरे खिलाफ भड़काया जा रहा है. मुझे लगता है कि आखिर में जो है ये बात बहुत अच्छे से, जैसे हमेशा ही मेरे साथ हुआ है, ये सब समझेंगे और मेरा इस देश के लोगों से कोई रिश्ता तोड़ नहीं सकता.
The speed at which she was made available even to some YouTube channels also. So what he's doing is basically ensuring that his steady stream of guests come. He also understands that when he will have these guests doing Saap, Kutta, Billi, Alien, then he will make clips out of it, and then these clips will generate outrage and he will get further reach. So that is also a very well thought out strategy, that I am actually doing a podcast, but my podcast is not the main. Just see the number of views, hardly anything. It's the clips that generate the traction for him. So what he's doing is a very well calculated thing where the right will also come, and then to his benefit, the left will also come, and everybody was going to be happy. At least.
So, but that's not journalism.
That's not journalism.
Right.
He's doing the Joe Rogan model. I will just generate some outrage. I will have the guests on my platform. And of course, automatically then once you get that engine running, automatically guests start coming in.
Sure.
I have experienced it is because sometimes I get authors, economists, and I automatically get calls from say a Penguin or a Random House saying that, so-and-so has got a new book out. I'm saying, okay, is he willing to come to my house? They said, yeah, he'll come. They'll come to Noida and they'll sit in your house and do it. I'm saying, okay, fair enough. So I know how this system works. So that's as far as beer biceps is concerned. The other thing about commentators thinking that they're journalists, Dhruv makes it very clear. What we try all the time, if you see any episode of The Deshbhakt, it's peppered with newspaper headlines, either from web or the News Minute. The latest episode that we did heavily bases itself from the work that News Minute has done as far as the whole HEMA committee report is concerned. But unfortunately, what is happening is, because the information is available, these people are appropriating the information. And you have to understand why this is happening. Abhinandan. The thing is that some people are able to build credibility amongst their audience. It could be right wing, it could be left wing, some idiots like us who sit in the center and talk about the constitution. So people are then willing to believe whatever you are saying. So they will not even put those news clips. They will make it believe that ये तो हम कह रहे हैं.
Right.
While the information is coming from
elsewhere.
HSA.
Sure.
So we always say our work is based on the shoulders of what journalists are doing, and we try to give as much as credit as possible. Maybe not all the time it is possible, but we try to give as much credit. But unfortunately, you will see more of this where information which is diligently which is dug out is appropriated, repackaged and sent. Mind you, some of the biggest YouTube channels today are reacts channel. They are reacting to a game. They are reacting to a video. They are reacting to another YouTube video.
Yeah, that's become a big thing. Yeah,
that's also become a big thing.
Sure.
So this is not going to stop, unfortunately.
So before I go to Dhanya, Anand, do you think the inevitability of commentators having way more views, way more viewership, but is there a danger that they may think they're journalists, or people may start thinking they're journalists, or you don't think that's real danger? I mean, that's some people may have that confusion, but generally people know the difference. Is there a difference at all?
So, first example, like Sekhri Gupta pitted against.
Yeah, I forgot the guy's name.
Both are two different kind of videos. One is a journalistic video. Second is an educator's video. So, the client base of, say, educational services on the net is far greater than even news. So many environment journalists, not many, a few, tell me that can we teach and can we. So I say you have covered an incident like a landslide, but an educator, you would be expected to very clearly and crisply explain the geography of it. You need to have a good grasp of geography, the geography of a landslide, draw diagrams and explain to it, because for students preparing for competitive examination, incident is not asked, the phenomenon is asked. They have to explain. Suppose a foreign policy journalist, he may not be a hit in education market because he has talked about events, but a lot of theories going on, history, a lot of things. And you have to package in a way. So Sekhri Gupta's failure is not because it was a journalistic video, but that he is catering to a much smaller market.
Audience. His audience is different.
Yes, and the educational services have a much larger market because people materially will benefit from it. They will have a better chance at scoring some marks. So even there is a lot of third-rate stuff.
I was going to ask you, what do you think of this whole trend of like Khan sir, Vikas Divya, all these guys?
So there is a lot of third-rate stuff there also, but that would be digressing from the media because.
But it's not just educators also, right? For example, Dhruv Rathi or you're not catering to a student's audience.
No,
they are just explaining.
Yes,
Turns out that a lot of students do tune in without us wanting it to happen, but lot of competitive exam. He's absolutely right.
Yeah, but
there is value. So they see, अच्छा UPSC में ये सवाल आएगा, तो ये explainer बता रहे हैं, ये concept हमें समझा रहे हैं. So what has happened is, it's a very funny thing. For you and I, maybe a Babri demolition or a 1991 economic liberalization is a news event. हमें मालूम है क्या हुआ.
For them, it's a theory
event. They don't know what happened in 1991 or 1992. For them, they want a mini documentary explaining to them what really happened, right?
So a lot of the advertisers are also these education apps and all.
No, but I just want Anand to finish quickly. Do you think there's a danger of the two getting confused at any point, or you don't think there's any danger?
No, so there are many layers. Serious students will not, my reckoning is that the serious students don't go for audio-visual thing. They still stick to books and quality stuff. And also there are a lot levels of it. Like for UPSC, this would not be a hit. But there are other exams, SSC, railway recruitment. For them, so their awareness level is lower. For them, the audio-visual stuff would be more appealing. Yes, there is confusion. Also, the quality, the digital stuff in education is low quality and it requires less labor. Like for Divyakirti or Ojha, they don't give lectures. They give life lessons. Because to deliver a 3-hour lecture, you have to study for 10 hours. to give a 3-hour lecture. Now they have made a lot of money. So now they buy their researchers' time with that money, and they teach in their institutes, and now their ambition is to be the digital Baba, giving gyan on
modern day Osho or whatever.
Relationships and this and that. So because
Diversification.
Yes.
But after this whole Rao IS incident, they faced a lot of backlash
Right.
because they didn't stand with the students. So all their old Gyan, Baba Gyan has come out and been replayed against them.
Also, when we talk about digital, we talk about this player, but we have to remember that legacy media is also in digital
Sure,
space,
they've
and they
also
are
come
top
there.
players.
Yeah.
Like Times of India website gets a lot of hits,
Right.
far more than major the so-called
Digital
standalone
natives.
digital players.
Sure.
So they are also players. That is one thing. But what you are saying, I see one more danger, that the dumbing down of, say, the public intellectuals on Twitter, and this few have stayed away, but their commentary, and a lot of them say, I have seen the regression of few once admire intellectuals to tune in. They will just tag 5-4 journalists because they want to get traction and want to get invited.
I have seen exactly this phenomenon. People I've seen Twitter deteriorate their thought process, and they, rather than think beyond social media, their thinking has become optimized for social media. I've seen this happen a lot of
also the
right minds.
pressure. Maybe if someone in their home is telling them that you are not popular on social media, and you are a top-notch professor, so what, you have only 400 followers.
I think that also maybe.
So that has pushed many of good organizations, they are giving third-rate research on this, like this percent, because it gets traction. Also, they will tag, and they will some limericks, some one-liners, and this. So like only few have stayed away, and that is also a dumbing down of public intellectual discourse.
Right. Raman, so you were saying something?
Yeah, I was saying that I know at least 2 newspapers who do stories with keeping in mind the students who are preparing for the IAS exam. One is Hindu, the other is Indian Express. So here the
Explained is actually for that.
They take policy reporting very, very seriously. So if you see anything that happens at the policy level, you will see Hindu is reporting it.
And even the Express had a very good explainer on why was Anil Ambani fined, what are the
everything.
violations.
So
It's apparently a huge hit also
it's a huge hit
among students.
The second question that you were talking, I see when I look at the videos, say Dhruv Rathi, Deshbhakt, I can very clearly see that these people are very articulate, they're very good at satire, and they're very sharp in whatever they're saying. I know that most of the things have been picked up, but because I'm a journalist, so I know that. Okay, but they are putting it in a perspective, and they are very good narrator, and they're very good at conveying the stuff. So I have seen the others also, which immediately put me off, who are not good at it and who are mostly stealing also. In fact, I'll say that some of I won't name, but some of the journalists, very well-known journalists, now they have also started their own particular channel. In fact, they also, because they mostly go after rant.
So ranting gets traffic.
Maybe they come up with, I try to understand why it happens. They say that they start in the morning, one show in the morning, one show in the evening. It's not so easy.
The pressure is too much.
This is the pressure.
And then they can't go and
report. Why I didn't like working in those TV media, because this is the...
Also, when you don't have institutional backing, you're just running your YouTube channel. You have to come up with something every day. You can't say, I'm working on this, someone else will do something for the next 5 days. You have to, you must be facing that pressure as well.
So that puts you off at times. And the non-serious, you can easily identify. You will stop following them.
But that's a serious pressure, that it's all on you. You have to come up with a video. Like, how often do you post?
So our longest aim always has been once a day. That's hardly ever been possible. In election time, we almost were doing 3 to 4.
Wow. Then you're-
A week.
No, but even that must be hard if you're just like a 3-man operation.
Because we're talking about well-researched scripted episodes.
With no scope for mistakes. Because with 2 minutes
because अगर आपने एक भी mistake कर दिया, then for the next 1 year, you're gone on social media. To what sir was saying, I'll just like to add is that we now put the name of the writer also, because a lot of people say, अच्छा तुम इसके बारे में ज्ञानी बन गए. Now you're an expert on this. No, we are not. We have a team of researchers. We have a team of writers. So we actually include the name of the writer along in the main title now. Just so in the interest of transparency is that, you know, this requires a lot of effort, but you are absolutely right. It's an algorithm. It's a beast. You have to keep feeding it. If you don't feed it, then you fall out of the algorithm, and there's 100 different other mental stress to that.
Dhanya, you want to add to the danger of this being conflated with journalists, commentators, or you don't really see that as a danger? And do you think digital has also
disagree.
And has digital also sorry, and one more question. 3 things and one more question. And do you think digital has killed the Delhi dominance of news at least?
So 2 things. One is that I don't know why you guys are saying, will it blur? It's already blurred. Do you think a person on the road actually understands whether Dhruv Rathi is a journalist and somebody else is not? They don't. They're just looking at who's giving them information. Who gives them the information in a consumable manner, in an easy manner, in an understandable manner. Okay, there are people who read newspapers, like you guys said, those who are going for civil service examinations or stuff like that. But for a large number of people, it does not matter to them anymore where the information comes from. Who gives it to them in a manner they understand properly is all that matters to them. I'll tell you an example. When the electoral bond stories were being done, I mean, we were working so hard on these stories. I remember one story we put out in the BJP. The story I cannot remember. And immediately the comment section, around 500 to 1,000 comments were like, oh, this is a party which took bonds from beef companies. Beef exporters. So what's the big deal? I'm wondering, Indians are reading so much on electoral bonds that they actually know this. Then I went and Googled to see which news outlet has reported the story. Only the Quint had reported. It was the Quint story, which they put out saying that the BJP had taken money from this beef exporter company. I'm thinking, Quint story went this viral? Then I realized this Dhruv Rathi has done a video with a cow.
He starts off with him petting a cow.
क्या आप ये जानते हो कि इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड्स के डेटा से हमें पता चलता है देश की सबसे बड़ी बीफ एक्सपोर्टिंग कंपनी ने 5 करोड़ रुपए चंदा डोनेट किया शिवसेना को और 2 करोड़ रुपए चंदा डोनेट किया बीजेपी को 2019 और 20 में। इस कंपनी का नाम है अलाना ग्रुप, अलाना कोल्ड स्टोरेज, अलाना सन्स प्राइवेट लिमिटेड, कई सारी कंपनीज इस ग्रुप का हिस्सा है।
कितना प्यारा है ये जानवर।
So Quint did the story. I mean, see, I'm telling you, we are all just people disseminating information at different levels. Now, okay, we do the job of going to the ground. We are getting information. We know, I mean, let's be honest, a lot of journalists do not know how to find information, how to collect it. They do not know how to confirm something. They do not basic ethics of journalism itself. Now, the rest of them who actually know it, but they are, for the Kolkata report, Manisha was saying, the other day I was watching a YouTuber. I don't even remember the YouTuber's name. He had interviewed 2 students of the Kolkata college. And he had done a very sensitive interview asking them what is happening. I mean, sensitive for a YouTube interviewer. He had blurred them and he's asking what happened in the college. And I'm thinking, what am I doing? What is he doing? He's doing the same thing, right? So people don't understand. Dhanya is a journalist. I was insulted once. I felt insulted. One lawyer yelled at me at a TV debate saying, "You YouTube people." And I'm like, I'm not a YouTube person. I'm an actual journalist. And I realized he doesn't know the difference. He thinks I'm a YouTube journalist because I put my videos on YouTube. But
we are a YouTube journalist.
Whatever that is. I don't think a lot of people can understand the difference. My son is 13 years old. He knows everything that is happening. He's never touched a newspaper in his life. He's never seen a TV channel because we don't have cable TV at home. He's getting it from YouTube. He doesn't care who's giving it to him.
Right.
Yeah, I think you have to grapple with this reality of people consuming stuff on the internet. Everything is just coming to you, and you're not going to make that distinction ki ab main journalist. Only very few discerning people will do, which is why I think whatever Mohak has said, I think Shekhar Gupta, when he talks about, say, Punjab militancy, it's a delight to watch because he brings 30 years of his journalism into it versus some 20-year-old who will just... But journalists have to consciously think about how they are communicating their stories. If you're an expert in a subject, and I'm not talking about just digital journalists, but even journalists in Economic Times, Live Mint, who know economics, who know investment. Why are you ceding space to YouTubers who are giving yarn on mutual funds one day, on, investing in some other stock the other day? Use your expertise to communicate to your audience. So I think journalists also have to relearn how to communicate. You may be good at something, but can you have a department that can use your expertise, your talent to actually put that information out? That's real public service.
Yeah, I think you should do that.
Also, one more thing I want to add, just one thing quickly. See, at the end of the day, maybe the people do realize that, okay, this is a journalistic outlet doing this work. The Hema Committee report is an example, right? For example, when that report comes out, everybody is turning to us, including a journalist in Delhi, are calling, normal people are coming to the website and reading it because they know there's a body of work. So at some point of time, it will pay. But
Right.
it's not like everyone who's on YouTube watching the Hema Committee report and its fallout
Sure.
are thinking, let me go to the News Minute. They have done some wonderful reporting over 7 years. They will tell the truth. I will read it. They are consuming it wherever they get it.
Which is-
During COVID is one example. Why did we see an uptick? Because people were turning to news, or
Yeah.
whenever there's an accident, a big tragedy,
Because then
people
they
want to
want it
go to
credible.
a trusted.
No, but
Exactly.
but I do think that making it interesting is an inherent part of any media professional's life. Whether you're a news media
Even when
professional,
you're writing a story.
whether you're a entertainment media professional, whether you're whatever media. I just don't think one should look at it as I have to compete with so and so influencer,
Exactly.
because you will never become Salman Khan. Dabang will always get more views than your report. So that's the only thing that you have to understand. This is what I am doing. The moment you start playing a different game is when the whole thing starts. So whether
And
it is
it's endless
scale,
then.
yeah, I'm not tomorrow wanting to sit on Vineet Jain's table and say, beta, अब मैं Times of India 10,000 crore है, मेरे टर्न में नहीं चाहिए 10,000 crore turn. I don't want to sit with Salman Khan and say my Hafta gets as many views as Munni Badnaam hui. That is not my interest. So as long as you know what you're doing, and that is the limited, like if you're playing cricket, you can be a loser sportsman. If you're playing football, you can't. You have to be clear. I'm going to get a lot of hate for this.
After the elections were over, there was this website which got in touch. I don't want to say which one. They were doing a story on Dhruv Rathi, Akash Banerjee, and a lot of other people who are YouTubers and are their threat. So I told him, okay, call me. And some 10 questions were asked. And I said, have you prepared your story that we hate YouTube people? Because I don't think so. I think we are all at different levels disseminating information. Now, at the end of the day, Dhruv Rathi or Akash does it better than me. But a lot of the information they have does come from me, right?
Correct.
Maybe I will be able to do their job, not Akash, Dhruv, but he can never do my job.
Yeah, so which exactly, and they acknowledge it. But just one thing of the lack of research, and I think this is something that is sad as far as journalists are concerned. When you're doing a story, and I got a call from this young journalist, and I didn't say anything to her because I did feel bad. She was doing a story on the broadcast bill, which was withdrawn. So she says, what are your views, X, Y, Z. So she asked some question. I said, I haven't read it yet, and I said, I'll get back to you. Then I called her back. I said, okay, this is my. She says, do you have a copy that you can share with me? I said, you don't have a copy of the bill? She says, no. I said, but aren't you doing a story? She says, yeah, but I haven't been able to get a copy from anywhere. I felt bad for her. I said, okay, I'll forward you a copy. But what journalism can you expect? And that person is a journalist. So
She must be covering 3 beats. She's asked to do like one routine story, 2 exclusives. Like it's also.
But I mean, we started with Dhanya talking about how she had to pitch her South stories. And look at how digital has changed the whole game, where she is really, the News Minute is the de facto website one wants to go when they want anything related to the South.
Correct.
So she doesn't have to pitch her stories. People would come to her. In the same way, and in the Northeast also. And I always say, you guys, you don't need mainland. Mainland needs you. Stop thinking that, hamara story udhar nahi gaya. You guys are anyways precious. So I think that dominance of the Delhi media is definitely gone with digital. Dhanya's information is driving our YouTube. And I think Ravish is a good example, where from television, he reimagined himself on digital. Not even, I understand it's television, it's visual to visual, but there are so many TV folks who were not able to reimagine themselves even in digital. So I think it's a question of time. It's a question of understanding the media.
But that, if I may just segue, that gives me a perfect segue into what I want to go next, and this is the last thing that we'll be discussing, is that they could not reimagine themselves, and that is not because of they couldn't. It's they're too lazy too. And this is what brings me to when we started Hafta. Hafta was started as an exercise in transparency, because one of my recommendations is a piece that I had written when we started Newslaundry. It's called Our Position on Newslaundry. And the whole idea is that, the whole Times view, that side edit view, is something we don't have. I have a different view on things. Manisha has a different view. For example, Dhanya and News Mirror and Newslaundry are, collaborators. We are like partner organizations. I see us as one big team. We have very different. Hers is a lot more evolved and informed take on gender than mine. Mine is a little more primitive uncle type take. So, but it's not like mine is the Newslaundry view and hers is the News Minute view. I'm sure there's some, clumsy thinkers in her office, just like there's evolved thinkers in my office. So so we started News Hafta as an exercise in transparency. So people can see Madhu has a different view. Madhu, Anand, Manisha, Arunabh, we'd sit and disagree on so many things. So it was basically that Newslaundry doesn't have this one view. And so often me and Anand would disagree on so many things. Madhu made me stand up forcibly during a film because I wouldn't stand up for the national anthem. I said, I've come to watch a bloody shitty film. I don't know how to. I know she pulled me up and there was that whole. So, but we can still coexist in one space. So that was the idea that Hafta started with. Over time, people expected to get news from here. And which is why we started doing the headlines a little more, this thing. But I will say one thing, and this is a very legitimate criticism of the Lutyens elite. And a lot of them are just lazy, and they were in the jobs that they were at because of their access, because they were sons and daughters and brothers and sisters of, the political and bureaucratic elite of Delhi. And we know many of them, Akash. We know they're wonderful people, they're nice people, but they're definitely not the brightest people. And had they not been born in the family they were, they would not have those jobs. So I don't think the response to that is the insane right-wing ugliness that you see of the Op India variety. But a lot of people are very critical of me that, why are you so friendly with Chetan Bhagat? Oh, he's this, my own friends. Oh, you had dinner with Chetan. Chi, Niku, you're so, how can you, didn't your head explode? Didn't your head explode? I'm saying, no, he knows, I've discussed this with him. I'm like, I think his grouse is legitimate. He sells more fucking books than all you Lutyens elite put together. You guys keep making fun of him. I have read some of your Lutyens elite's books. Some of them have written a book. It is no better. I mean, Chetan's plots are better. Your English is clearly from Doon School and elsewhere. But it's not like you've written a fucking brilliant book. But you have made, like when we started Newslaundry, I have, disagreed with Ram Madhav, but he gave me an interview. Of course, now they don't because Modi ji Shah don't allow union. The day we criticized Sagarika Ghosh, I got 20 calls from friends of mine. Oh, you are sexist. Why? Because I criticized Sagarika Ghosh.
She blocked us.
She blocked me. She blocked Newslaundry.
She blocked Newslaundry.
What I'm saying is the Newslaundry started, the response of the liberal elite was so fucking bullshit. So which is why that grouse is something I think is a legitimate grouse. I have seen it. I have seen mediocre people. I'm not saying they're dumb. But you put an average intelligence person, you send them to a public school, you send them to a fucking this thing. And Arnab is one of those people.
Yeah.
So when he says, it's like Trump saying, I'm one of you. You've just managed that anger. Now the thing is that Op Indias have taken that anger and taken it to different zone. But that was my first learning when we started Newslaundry. The tolerance level of criticism of the liberal elite of Delhi is abysmal. And that comes from always having what I call the Raja Babu complex. Raja Beta hai, बाबूजी IAS ऑफिसर जॉइंट सेक्रेटरी का बेटा है, बाबा को लेके जाओ यहाँ, बाबा को जो बोलेगा, तो बाबा जी को अगर किसी ने बोला अबे चोमू तो क्या बकवास कर रहा है, बोलते साल how dare you talk to me like that. Whereas people who do not, and that also reflects in many of the emails that I get. Many of the emails that I get which disagree with me, I can see they coming from, they are people who are used to having to explain their position. Many who say, fuck you, I'm not going to deal with you anymore. I know that person has never met a disagreement and that is the only way to deal with it. So, I mean, I just want to, because that is something that when Newslaundry started, the amount of hate we got from our own was a revelation. But it didn't stop us from
In
doing
fact, I came in as a reporter. The number of people that would just bang the phone down on us.
it.
How dare you ask this question? Why are you doing this story? A lot of them love nuisance now, but back then they were very like, there was a huge resistance to how dare you ask questions of us.
Yeah.
Who are only supposed to be asking questions of others.
Yeah, of course. But as long as you're going after them, many people are happy sharing this table with us. As soon as the government changed, we started asking questions of the other side. They found it too inconvenient to sit with us, and all those. I don't consider Arnab a journalist. I don't consider Times Now News. Today, those people sit there saying, you guys are making such a difference to the country. But before we wind up, just want to go around the table with closing thoughts on anything you want and your recommendation. May I start with you, Dhanya?
Since it's timely, I want to recommend the book called She Said, considering that we are seeing another Me Too movement. For those who don't want to read, you can watch the movie, but the book is a very different experience. It's written by 2 New York Times journalists. You should also read Ronan Farrow's Catch and Kill. That's also a really nice book. It's both on Harvey Weinstein. Both these sets of reporters followed it at the same time, but just that New York Times broke it first. So read both the books. They're very nice. And they also help you understand, like, for example, what we are seeing playing out in Kerala. I'm actually quite upset with what is happening now. And I hope it really stops because the movement is about to be destroyed very badly.
How? You want to quickly elaborate? Like why, what, how?
It started, WCC did, Hema Committee report came out. We were all discussing Hema Committee, right? Which is what it should have been. But now what has happened is TV slowly, women are getting triggered, right? They watch this and they're getting triggered and they remember old episodes of assault. So 1 or 2 women started coming out and saying that I was assaulted, I was this thing. So channels are like, where did they touch you? What did he do? Where did he take you? And then imagine there are 8 different channels. So the woman goes from this channel to this channel to this channel, and they're describing the sexual act everywhere. Then the next woman comes, and the next woman comes. And sometimes women don't want to give the names. They're just saying this happened to me. This director did to me. They're not saying the name. You should leave it. No, but tell us who it is. And then they make them say a name. Then another chain. This is not a movement which can play out on television. When Me Too happened, it played out on social media where the women themselves came and spoke, right? In New York, wherever it started in America. But here, it's TV channels have taken it over. It's just, I don't know. I felt very upset, and I told channels I'm not coming from today anymore, because when women come out of stations, they're like, tell us who you named. It's not a way to do this.
Right. But thanks, Dhanya. All the best for News Minute's coverage of this issue. You guys have been steadfast and consistent on this, and I think that makes a big difference. And we look forward to partnering with you on many...
Congratulations again, 500th episode.
Yeah, I hope...
TheDeshbhakt, do more stuff on South India.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, okay. So before she leaves...
but before you leave, Anand had something to say.
She said that if she wants to come in politics, she would aim to become a home minister, not information and broadcasting. So going by data, I thought about it. So you have a better shot at prime ministership in India if you are an IMB minister. So Indira Gandhi was an IMB minister.
Thank you, but I don't want to be prime minister.
So I.K. Gujral was a INB minister, and L.K. Advani deputy prime minister.
Sure.
So was I don't think we had any home minister if Mr. Amit Shah doesn't become who went on to become prime minister.
Dhanya for PM.
Dhanya for, that's the hashtag.
But the
Correct.
record in the last 10 years is a bit different. Look at all the INB ministers in the last 10 years. They all get
But last 10 years, everything is different.
Everything.
Independence
No,
game.
so when these people became INB minister, they were also not big shots. Means I.K. Gujral or they are.
So closing thoughts and recommendation, Anand.
No, before I thought I wanted to say something about this journalist blurring thing. So the ruler sheen is that I think one factor for dilution of the profession of journalism is that it became very easy to become a journalist with a mic. So you have 10-15 people wandering even in a village with that and doing a bite thing. So a bite thing and a hyper local level. So I think one measure of an professional aspiration is that what is toughest to get into, and that's why IAS is tough.
Barrier to entry.
So what is easiest to get into? So Anand Singh, the Don turned politician, so he once said to someone like that who was interviewing him कि I would translate it in English कि माँ बाप पढ़ने भेजा था, तुम पत्रकार कैसे बन गया? So that is the level of dilution that the parents had sent you to study and you became a journalist, as if those are opposite ends. So journalism is the opposite of education. So that is one thing. And not only that, in rural scene you have these influencers with millions of followers also. And besides Coca-Cola, I think the biggest import of America to India is not is Hi Guys. So you have this complete mismatch. A person who might not have even said good morning in his life says Hi Guys and starts a video.
Point.
People in rural scene don't know how to distinguish a journalist from a media house and who is just loitering around with a mic. So,
And your recommendation for the week?
A recommendation, I think in headlines we miss this Ajmer Sharif case that the court held 6 people guilty under POCSO. So many newspapers have done front page coverage of that. I think the more substantive in not any exclusive, but very crisp information in Times of India. Suparna Roy and Nitesh Kumar. So that is one report. Second is it's an old 6-part series, I think on BBC Player Universe, and it talks about the major themes in astrophysics. It's a very nicely done series. First they explain the formation of galaxies, then stars and Big Bang theory, the rival theories, and a lot of things. So that's one thing.
Right. And Raman sir?
My closing thought and recommendation is, I think, going to be this Mr. Yogi. He has offered something. So I think we have discussed so many models here. So Mr. Yogi has offered his own model for the digital media, which is, I think everybody should see, and especially those who live in Noida, in UP, they have to consider it.
Right.
And those who can read it in Hindi, we will give that notification so they can read it. It's very, very interesting. In fact, he has redefined the entire digital media. They are redefining even what is real. Real is 9-second, whatever you give, and anything which is over 9 seconds is going to be a video.
90 seconds.
90 seconds, sorry.
Is a
90
video.
seconds. So anything over 90 seconds is a video. So and the money that they are going to give and all is very interesting. And those who can read in Hindi would really love it. And the second is there was a documentary on my all-time favorite, Roger Federer, on Prime Video. So, which is his last 12 days before he announced retirement to the public. So those 12 days, and it's beautifully done. So that is my second recommendation. And the third is a video story that my colleague Anmol Pritam has done on Hilsa Fish.
Yes, you were telling me also to watch it.
We must watch video story. This is about the Hilsa fish that our CR Park bongs, they used to get it from Bangladesh. So
how
now
that's
it is-
impacted the supply.
the supply is quite rare.
Foreign
and it
relations
is-
have been
is-
compromised because of Hilsa
is
fish.
costing
Cholvena.
3,000 rupees a kg.
kg, I see.
So beautiful
We'll
story
get some
that
recipes also.
Anmol has done.
Chalo.
So,
Did you
must
get a
watch.
bite from Rajshri Sen on this?
No, but she was thrilled after watching this.
Bite of fish?
She said that even I love cooking hilsa, but I would never smell it. So Anmol actually smells it because apparently it smells very different.
Okay.
Part of the taste is
Is
in
the
its smell.
I see. Akash, your closing thoughts and recommendation.
I have been saying this since the beginning, is that there was a little bit of a celebration that the government is withdrawing the broadcast regulation bill. It is not by a long shot. I am saying that it will be back in some form or the other. And before just 2 days ago, I posted this, and now you have this UP regulation, this attempted regulation. So I don't think after destroying print and television, the government is just going to let
Digital go.
all okay, go scot-free. Democracy zindabad, mother of democracy. वो mother sister तो होना ही है, and we will see all of that. So I think it's a very significant time that we are living in, when the government has realized that all the money in the world can't buy them the influence and the narrative that they want, and therefore the knuckle duster is going to come out to ensure that those who have strayed away from the designated path are brought in. So I think all the more reason for people to support independent journalism, independent content creators, because it's so much evident and so much out there that money is being thrown at people who would speak in favor, and jail time for those who speak against very, very clearly lays out what we are going to see in the next 2 years or so. So very interesting times. As far as recommendation is, hardly get any time to read these days. Whatever I manage to read is basically people whom I am interviewing. So I just recently interviewed Ruchir Sharma, and his book, What Went Wrong with Capitalism, very interesting, because he's basically making the case that the fact that people in America are not happy with the way capitalism is working in America, which is supposed to be the mother of capitalism in that way. And very interesting echoes between what happened in America and what could happen in India. The concentration of the entire capitalistic system, the government favoring only a few, leaving large sections of people, the interventionism of the government, which is growing by the day. Very, very, very fascinating case study being made there, and the mistakes that India should definitely avoid. So yeah, that's what I'm reading right now.
Right.
Since we talk so much about journalism, my recommendation would be one of my favorite pieces on journalism ever, Loving Lies. It's on journalist's most notorious fraudster, Stephen Glass. It's really beautifully written. It's about his plagiarism, his lies, how he got caught, and what happens next. It's beautiful. Since we've been talking about Newslaundry, one of my all-time favorite pieces in Newslaundry, by Anonymous, but we know who wrote it, is a piece on Olympics, on how different people, from Shekhar Gupta to Manu Joseph to Arundhati Roy, how would they report on Olympics? It's pure gold.
It's really good.
It's really well written.
It's one of my favorites as well.
I would urge you all to please subscribe to Newslaundry. This episode is free, but we have some fabulous stuff behind the paywall, including 2 episodes of Let's Talk About. One by Anand on Bihar, one by Atul on Nathuram Godse. Really fabulous long conversations. 2 of my interviews I want to plug. One with Hilal, who I think you all may have read. We've had him on Hafta also twice, I think. He's just someone who really makes you think interestingly about things. He's a really interesting mind. So catch that conversation. And I have a conversation coming up with Ikra, who's a member of parliament. She's one of the youngest to have been elected this session. Again, a very interesting conversation. So subscribe and access all these behind the paywall goodies that we have for you.
Right. And my recommendations are 2 old pieces on Newslaundry, and I thought I'd recommend them and I'd urge you to read them. One is written in 2014, June. This is about 2 years after we had just started and we were kind of making systems in place. It's called Our Position on Newslaundry, and it explains what is the Newslaundry position, quote unquote. And later in 2021, triggered by another set of disagreements, etc., that we had on how we should move forward on several issues. And also it was our anniversary, a 10-year anniversary, why we don't have a Newslaundry editorial position. So these 2 pieces are what I would recommend. And the song I'm going to leave you with is something that I think everybody expects their news giver to give them. I think Mr. Mukesh Ambani expects that from his anchors. Modi expects that from his anchors. Our subscribers expect that from us. But I think a good news organization is someone who does not sing that song. But these days, most people are singing that song. So I will.
A very twisted paheli.
So I will leave you with that song. Enjoy it. Thank you so much, Dhanya, for your time. I hope you invite me for your first episode of your podcast, which then shall become also 500 episodes old.
Yes, if you promise to use fuck only once or twice.
Okay, I won't use any bad language.
You have a quota. Twice.
Twice. No.
Twice, you have a
You
quota.
can't
Reduce
stop
quite a bit.
him. You can't stop him once or twice.
Twice.
After that, mute.
Okay.
Thank you, Anand. Thank you, Raman sir.
Thank you.
Akash, for spending so much time. Guys, do contribute to Patreon. The link is in the show notes below. Akash does some important and wonderful work. He had a very robust and successful stint as an anchor. He, Arnab, Rahul, Shiv Shankar all used to sit together and anchor
More
stuff.
importantly, radio.
And then in radio,
He was
and
on
then
the
he
business,
left.
making
And I remember when
money.
he left, I will not take names, but I remember there was this one particular spoof about a big leader, and he said, they don't allow me to carry it. I cannot stay here any longer. He could have been a very well-paid executive towing the line. He didn't, and he jumped, and the safety net is you guys. And if you guys don't catch the guy, no one else is going to jump again. So do contribute. Thank you, Manisha, and thank you to our wonderful producer, Aryan, and our sound recordist, Naresh. We shall read all the emails next episode. There are lots of emails, and we are planning Let's Talk About on trans issues, because there's a lot of feedback that's come on that. And in fact, one wonderful professor, I think she's a psychologist also, psychotherapist, we are getting her to help us put a panel together to discuss this, so it can inform us all, especially me, a little better on the complexities of this issue. But yes, all the mails will be read next time. We leave you with the song that we ain't gonna sing, but those of you who do, enjoy. Bye-bye.